Hello everyone. I am Shulna, Secretary at ESL IIT Kanpur. Along with me, we have Secretaries Deepika and Soni. The Entrepreneurship Cell IIT Kanpur is dedicated to fostering the spirit of entrepreneurship among students and helping innovative ideas grow into successful ventures through mentorship, guidance, and real world learning. With a vision to ignite creativity and among young minds, ESL inspires students to think beyond boundaries and become the innovators solving and leaders of tomorrow. One of its flagship initiatives, the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge 2025, is a national level competition for students of classes 9 to 12. It encourages young minds to identify real world problems, design impactful solutions, and experience what it truly means to build a startup. YEC 2025 isn't just a competition, it's about learning, innovation, and transformation. Students get an opportunity to receive mentorship and experience from experienced industry experts, certificates from ESL IT Kanpur, media coverage, free passes to eSummit 25, and prizes worth 3 lakhs. The Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge 2025 is designed as a structured journey that helps participants through every stage of building a startup, from learning the basics to pitching their ideas. The challenge began with the website launch and registrations on 17th August, marking the start of this exciting journey. And today we are here for the preliminary session where the participants are being introduced to the fundamentals of startups and entrepreneurship. Now, Sony will explain you the timeline of the event from now.
Hello everyone, myself Soni. Up next is the quiz round, which will be held on 2nd November. This is an entrepreneurship based quiz that focuses on testing how you think like an entrepreneur, your creativity, problem solving ability, and of business ideas. It is designed to see how well you can think innovatively and apply startup concepts in real situations understanding. The last day to register for the quiz is tomorrow, 26th October. So make sure you register before the deadline to take part in it. The results for the quiz one will be on 5th November. After that, we'll have a session on 12th November, which will guide you on how to develop and present your ideas effectively. Then comes to the Team Idea Deck submission on 30th November, where you submit your startup idea in a structured format. All formal submissions will close on 7th December and shortlisted teams will be announced on 10th December. From 15th to 30th December, the selected teams will enter the mentorship phase where industry experts will help you refine your business ideas and strategies. Finally, the top teams will get a chance to come to IIT Kanpur and present their ideas during eSummit 2025 on 25th January in front of investors, mentors, and startup leaders. And for all this to happen, you need to register before the deadline, that is tomorrow, 27th October.
The Youth Challenge 2025 is not just a competition. It's a complete entrepreneurial journey that transforms ideas into impact studies into change makers. And to guide us further on this journey of innovation and learning, we are honored to have with us Mr. Anup Gupta, a passionate teacher and a remarkable entrepreneur. He's the founder of Mathongo, Quizzer, and Marks, ventures that reflect his vision to make learning more engaging and impactful. Through his dedication as an educator and his innovative entrepreneur spirit, he has inspired countless students to think beyond boundaries. We are truly delighted to have him with us today. Let's welcome Mr. Anup Gupta on the stage to share his insights and experience with all of us.
All right, thank you guys. First of all, pleasure all mine. It's great to connect with young minds and guide them in whatever way possible to make sure that they lead the country to a great future. So, as highlighted, that I am founder of an edtech startup and have been into multiple edtech ventures, not just one. At the same time, I am already occupied by 3 startups. So whatever knowledge that I have gained in last 16 years of my career as an entrepreneur, would love to share that with you guys. And more importantly, we would love that if you can make the session interactive, ask as many of your doubt as possible with respect to whatever entrepreneurship stands for you, what you understand of it, or whatever you guys are trying to do at your end. So, as a guest or as a mentor, we will try the best we can do in our capacity to help you take the next leap forward. Right? That is what we will do. All right. So, can we start with the slides? Okay, perfect. So I will just start with a very introductory step, right? And you guys can let me know in the comment section whether you feel it the same way or not. I just present to you a scenario, right? That imagine there's a class 10 student. I just put up a name called Anya. And every morning she notices that her classmate misses the school bus because no one knew it has already passed, right? So she comes up complaining every day and she thought, why not make a small WhatsApp group where the first person on the bus just sends a message, the bus has already reached. Simple idea. It requires no money, nothing, right? Just an initiative, right? The keyword here is it just requires an initiative to be taken, right? Now, why this is so important? I'll just come back to that. Soon everybody reaches on time. That is something the outcome of that initiative, and that's basically a true definition of entrepreneurship, right? You spot a problem which a lot of people are having, you take the ownership, that is the initiative that was required, that I will be the one who will take the baton, will try to solve this problem and find a very smart solution which might not be very resource intensive, right? I'll talk about this. When we talk about entrepreneurship, everybody thinks that they need to have some resources. You might not require to have resources to start or do something or create an impact which you require to be an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship sums up this, that you spot a problem, you take the initiative and find a smart solution that creates an impact which was intended for that particular problem, right? So everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, maybe your parents, they are already entrepreneurs, your teachers might already be entrepreneurs and you don't even know them, right? Because we generally think of entrepreneurship as a big startup, something who has raised a lot of money, or something that you see on Shark Tanks. It's not that. Every day you might be interacting with an entrepreneur and you still don't know it. But the real definition of entrepreneur is right now in front of you, right? So how many of you were able to relate with this thing? Can I have it something in comments that how many of you were able to relate with this idea that, okay, that makes sense, right? Perfect. Right. So my agenda is very simple. And in the meanwhile, if anything that clicks up to you, which does not make sense, do let me know in the comment section. The team will pick it up there and we'll discuss on it. Right. So what is entrepreneurship? And, in the meanwhile, while I'm explaining, let's do one thing. What is your definition of entrepreneurship? Let's see that in comments first, right? आपको क्या लगता है कि आपके लिए what is the definition of entrepreneurship, right? So I'll just sum it according to what we do as an entrepreneur on everyday day-to-day basis and how we basically define entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is not about starting a company. It's basically about solving a problem. So first of all, you have to let go of that notion, because I see a lot of youngsters, they just have a hunch to start their own, right? They just are fancied by the word, I should have my own company. Entrepreneurship is not about just starting a company. It is about solving a particular problem. And in the process of that, obviously, you will form and raise a big company. It's the art of seeing what others generally ignore. For example, I just told you a solution that bus generally comes on time at a slotted time and it leaves, and many people do not get to know that, okay, I'm late for the bus, and the bus leaves, right? It's a very simple problem to solve, to be very honest, which could be solved on a WhatsApp group. The problem is, who will take this initiative to fix this problem? So somebody, which we know as founder, they decide that this is the problem and I am the one who is going to solve it. So it means taking initiative, taking risk, and taking responsibility. So a lot of you sitting here, as I was going through your chats, right? You're fancied by, sir, mere paas ideas bahut hain. right? It is not just about an idea. It is about taking initiative, right? It is taking a responsibility, and also at the same time take the ownership of the positives as well as the negative and risk that will come along in building the impact, right? Even when the path is not clear. The third point says even when the path is not clear. So a lot of times, for example, आप पढ़ाई करते हैं. A lot of you guys are from 9th to 12th, right? So what happens? You are given a problem. अगर आपसे solve नहीं भी होगा, you are very sure that it has a solution, right? Which might be in the book or a teacher could help you out. Most of the time in entrepreneurship, we generally do not have any idea about the solution, whether it is the right solution, whether it is going to work, whether it is going to have the kind of impact जो मेरे दिमाग में impact है कि मेरे को जो problem दिखता है वो solve हो भी पाएगा कि नहीं. We have no idea about that, right? So that is where the third point comes in. The other point is entrepreneurs don't wait for the opportunities, they create them. And I think that's the biggest difference between an entrepreneur and somebody who's doing business, right? That's an agenda for some other day, that what is the definition or difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman, right? So entrepreneurs generally do not wait for opportunities. They rather create them. एक होता है ना, आप कहते हैं कई लोगों को सर वो पागल है, वो सनकी है. In fact, they take that route, which generally people will say it does not make sense. But for them, it makes sense, and they start working on it when the others are saying it does not make sense, right? That is what defines an entrepreneur. And it's about turning ideas into impact. अब impact जरूरी नहीं है कि हम जब impact की बात करते हैं, what happens in the word impact, we always think of impact as a very huge impact, right? ठीक है, create a dent in the universe, right? The famous dialogue by Steve Jobs. Impact could be small, impact could be medium, and impact could be really big. Every impact is an impact. Even a small impact is an impact. Believe me on this, because you never know when this impact becomes too big, right? Just for example, you guys are doing ordering something which reaches to your place very quickly, right? The quick commerce model. When it was launched 5 years back, I live in Bangalore, so it started with Bangalore, right? So in Bangalore, we used to laugh at that idea that what's the need of it, right? Who requires that? It will be very few people or set of people who have a tendency that it should be delivered within 5 minutes. So the customer base is very limited, right? Now the problem is no longer a problem. You know that you are into that 10-minute buying idea, right? That's a behavioral change. It took over a period of time, right? So impact initially was not thought on that scale, but over a period of time, it became a huge impact, right? So idea is, again, whether you're trying to solve a problem, which is a genuine problem. We'll talk about this as well if the time permits, that sometimes we feel that there is a problem, but there is not a problem. So either you're solving for a disease or you are just selling vitamins, right? That's another very good statement that goes in entrepreneurship, right? But whatever you guys do, whether you are building an app, leading a school club, right, or organizing a fest, you're already thinking like an entrepreneur. Because even if you are organizing a school event, just imagine all the pain, the hurdle that you take. For example, you guys are sitting in this session. The IIT Kanpur team has, taken a lot of pain to make sure that this happens. This in itself is an entrepreneurship, right? Because that is what we as founders do. We also create events. We also do all the licensing that is required to bring people on table, make sure the impact is delivered to the audience. It's entrepreneurship, right? So I'm just highlighting that everywhere you will see, you can find a lot of beautiful examples of entrepreneurship. Now, I was given an agenda that we have to talk about the founder's mindset, that how entrepreneurs think and they make decisions. So, Abhi, before I go forward, let me know in the comment section that do you relate to what I just said in the last slide, right? Do does it make sense? Ki bhai, what is the definition of entrepreneurship? Or you were thinking on a very different page, or you're able to relate to it, right? Okay. So, founder's mindset could be a lot of things. But I just thought of mentioning few of them. It could be endless, and nobody is the right person to decide that what is a founder's mindset. But yes, the highest is that they are biased for action, right? So for example, when the stream started, a lot of people were saying, I have idea, you it's very strange, but it is the reality. You go to any house, you pick anybody from India, they have an idea. So we guys are idea factory, by the way, by default, right? So idea is nothing, to be very honest. It's this starting stone, but will it make you an entrepreneur? No. So the founder's mindset is they are biased for action. Idea, a simple idea. So for example, we were talking about e-commerce, right? In 10-minute delivery, right? It's a very simple idea. It's not a very big idea, if you notice that way, right? It was already there in the market. For example, you live somewhere, there would be a shop where you can go in 5 minutes and come back in 5 minutes. That means your purchase happens in 10 minutes. But getting it on online and managing all the logistics and making that on a unit economic level was a challenge, right? And that is where the action was required. Idea has been there in the market for a very long period of time. It's not a new idea. What you see on Amazon is nothing. It is just that what you used to purchase in the market, go to the market, it is just transformed into an online era. A very simple idea, right? But what it required was execution. Execution, and then when you grow big, it makes sense. Execution at scale, because at execution at scale, a lot of things become different. And I'll relate it with my story as well, which will be more relatable to you because it's related to education, and you'll be able to relate to it, right? So I'll just do one thing. I'll just I've also linked some narration to each and every statement that I have mentioned. So for example, problem first, product later, right? So it is very, very important to first of all figure out how big is the problem, right? Ideas are, again, I repeat, ideas are everywhere. Everybody has an idea. Even if you go and ask your 5 or 6 year old brother or sister, he will also have an idea, right? But is that idea solving a problem? Is that pain point big enough? That is something which you should, as a founder, think about it first. Building an app can come later. You will be surprised. A lot of ideas, a lot of companies that start and they went on, becoming very big, they never had big product when they started. So I give you my example. So we started Mathongo in 2018, right? And to be very honest, it was never meant that I would run a company called Mathongo. I started into entrepreneurship in 2009. I have always been into the edtech space. But when I started with Mathongo, the specific brand Mathongo, right? We started in 2018. But the intention was never there to make it Mathongo. Our intention was, I was on a trip, on a leisure trip to Leh and Ladakh. I went to a KV of Ladakh, saw that there was no math teacher. I have been teaching maths for IIT for a long period of time. And I've taken a break from teaching. And then I thought that, yeah, if I'm not doing anything, let's record some lectures, give it to people who are not having teachers at their disposal, so that at least they can study math also, and if I can help them in my free time. And that just simple problem converted to videos, posted on YouTube, sent to a different KVs, that became viral. And then there is no looking back, and that is how the company was started. So idea was not to start a company. Idea was to solve a problem which I felt could be of help. And I didn't knew that it will become such a big idea. What I thought was a big idea, I was working on something else. But this idea surpassed the other idea and it became the biggest idea, right? The other problem is the ownership mentality. Think like it's your company, not someone else's company. So a lot of time we think only of the positive side of being the startup world. So for example, you must have seen that funds being raised, that much dollars being invested in a company, right? And you think that person has become rich, right? So founders generally don't solve problems or build companies for the sake of money. Money is important, but they do not make companies for making or minting money, to be very honest. The idea is still to think of the problem, stick to the company, do not, in a way that if investor has put in money, just let it and spend it all, right? We think of the company, even the money has been invested by somebody else. We always think that if it was our money, how we would have spent it. Another is the long-term game, which I believe which comes with a lot of experience. So for example, you build up something, you have an idea, you iterated something, you built something, and it did not work, right? And that's what happens with 100, out of 100, 99 ideas go down the drain because they might not work in the very first time, on the very first time, on the very first occasion. Now, the point is, will you leave that idea or go back on the drawing board, check why it did not work, and come back with a better solution? So it's a long term game. You have to believe in that the problem and the solution is real and evolve over a period of time. It's not a short game कि आपने आज कुछ बनाया, you try to do something, if it does not work, and then you leave it. That's not how founders think. Believe me, there's the single biggest differentiator between founder of a super successful company and any general founder. Successful founders stick to what they have been doing even when everybody is telling them to let it go. And that is why these guys are a pool of crazy people, right? And that which brings me to the next point, that is the learning loop, right? Whatever decision meaning you build something. So what we generally do is whatever you will build, now there are tools by which you can track. There's a lot of data that comes in. So for example, you guys are in a session today, right? Now I have the data that how many people attended this session. So what we will start doing is we'll start forming cohort that, okay, this is the type of audience that came to this session. So I'll try to make behavioral analysis of what sort of audience was there, what is their inclination, and then on the basis of that, I'll try to form a logic and try to pitch you with my problem and how it could solve the solution or lead to a solution. Now, we collect a lot of data, right, for a data point. Now, how well you can manage that data, first point, how quickly you can grasp that data, that is where the critical thinking and the IQ part comes into play, and you move on what is to be taken from that data and what is to be left out. Because inundation of data is everywhere. You can't get into data every time, but you should be smart enough to understand what data is important. That is where the founders come in. Successful founders are able to realize this is where I should start improving the product based on the data that he is getting, right? And the very important point for all those who are starting new, a lot of people think that if I had this, I would have made this. This is a very beautiful statement, right? And this is where, you must have learned this in English classes also. If I had done this, I would have done this, right? This is not how entrepreneurs work. Because when you start, you will never have resources. So if you had, let's say, 100 crore rupees, you would not be sitting in this kind of a session. You would not require to do anything in life for that matter. So when a founder starts, the simple problem with them is they don't have money. They don't have resource. And when I say money, money is just one resource. You'll be surprised to know that as you will proceed in life, human resource is the biggest resource. That means hiring good people who will work for you, who will have the same passion for your problem as you are having, right? So you might not have any resource, be it money, be it a team, be it even to pay for cloud services where you will host your app or whatever thing or application you are building. Then how creatively you can compensate for what you are not having. ठीक है, तो हिंदी वर्ड जो होता है जुगाड़, that is what makes founders, the big founders, what they are. They're very good at crafting and deciding, pivoting from resource to resourcefulness, right? तो बहुत दोनों आते same word से हैं. They both have the same keyword, resource, but resourcefulness and resources are two very different things. So this is my idea of what a founder mindset is. I'll just quickly repeat that they are heavy on action. They think of the problem all the time. Product comes always later. They have the owner's mentality that everything has to do with company, not with the founder. Company first. It has to be long term. They're relentless about that idea that they are building. What may ever come, whosoever tells them it is not going to work, they will still work on it. In fact, it's the other way around. The more people say it is not going to work, it adds to their fuel that it is going to work, right? And it's a learning loop. Everything that does not work helps them to get to the point where it starts working. They understand, keep on understanding till the point they get to know, which in our definition of entrepreneurship is called product market fit. If you have known PMF, that we reiterate, pivot to understand till the time we get the product market fit. The last one is resourcefulness over resources. You will always be short of resources. So don't think about ki, sir, I do not have resources. I am at a losing point. I am not equal with other peers who might have better laptops, might have better resources. They come from tier one, they come from tier two. No, believe me, it's just an excuse that you're giving to yourself in order to, get away from it. But idea is that it always has been there that resourcefulness is greater than resources. Does it make sense, guys? Quickly, right? So I'll just explain it to you with my idea till the time I go to the next point that I have with me. That see, bias for action, how we integrated bias for action. So we guys teach students who are in JE, who prepare for JE and NEET entrance examinations, right? And this particular space, right, is super crowded, right? And to be very honest, it is not something as dynamic as you see in other sectors like FMCG, right? If you understand the word FMCG, or let's say e-commerce, the simplest example that you can think of. It's very dynamic. Why I say dynamic? That means every day a new product comes in. There might be a sale going on hundred of different items. So you have different things happening every day, right? That's what you see on Blinkits, Zeptos of the world. But in education, the industry that I run, right, it's static. It has nothing to do after a period of time. Then what you should do, sir, then what action you can take? That is where you have to start understanding what problem are you solving, and you have to go in depth of it. For example, if somebody is going already to an institute for learning something, how I as an online player can help them? Then I will drill further down. Okay, he gets to me, or maybe he's going and taking some courses online also. Still, why he will come to a third player? If I don't know whether you guys have heard of it, you must have heard of a company called Toyota, right? Toyota, how Toyota decides any feature that they build for any car, right? What they do is there are 5 levels of why. So, for example, you pitch me an idea. I'll ask you why this. You will give me an answer. Again, I will ask you why this on the basis of what you have given me. I'll drill down to 5 levels of why. If you still are standing with the solution on the fifth level, that means you have thought it down. You have gone in depth rather than horizontal, right? So that is how they are biased towards action. That why? Because if you go down that order, you'll be able to understand how I'm going to implement this, right? That is how things are. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll have another set, and maybe then later on I'll take more examples and correlated what we do. So tackling challenges, right? So आप entrepreneur तो बन गए, right? You have the founder's mindset. Now the problem is this looks good in theory, right? You have idea, you have energy, you have passion, you want to write it on your resume, everything. But challenges, as you might be facing, simple होता है ना, that you feel challenge in maths, you might some feel challenge in, if you are in 9th and 10th, you find social science being a challenge. When you move to 11th and 12th, you will feel JEE, NEET, or maybe commerce as a CA as a challenge. But yeah, that is what everyday entrepreneurs feel. For them, every day is a challenge. And bigger the challenge, that means you're trying to solve bigger problem. And how well you tackle them defines whether you will be super successful, or you will fail at it. Right? So again, I have some pointers which I would just go through so that I could be on the same page as you. Rejections and failures. So that is something which every student and every parent thinks as a negative. Rejections and failure. I have written it very categorically. They are feedbacks. Believe me, students, rejections and failures is not a negative word. Even at your study level also. That's just an indication of that you do not know this thing in the correct way. It gives an idea that you should improve on this. If you will improve, there will be no failure and there will be no rejection. So when you start entrepreneurship, you are building something, you launch it into the market, and nobody is using it. That is called rejection, as simple as that, or a failure. But one outcome of this is you will stop that idea. You will say, okay, that idea was not working. Let's leave it. Let's build another startup idea. Let's get somebody else on board. We'll make this idea, popular idea. But that is not how entrepreneurs think. This idea was not working. Now my mind will think why this is not working. The 5 steps of why that I just told you. Why it did not work. If I, in the initial phases, thought it was a real problem, then I'll go back and ask my customers why you are not using it, what I should serve you better, right? Again, you can think of it as a very simple example. So, for example, you are, let's say, building something on bakery side of the thing, right? You build something which is not generally available in your area. You try to give some new products to the people. But have you seen that every sweet shop, when they try or build something new, they give you for tasting for free? Have you gone into those kind of shops? They will give you for sample eating. They will not charge you for it. Why? Because they are testing it, that whether it has the taste bud which the people will like or not. And if they like it, any given day if they like it, money will come as a result of it, not earlier. So they are already. So agar aap socho, if you think this was already happening, even a sweet owner shop guy is using all the fundamentals that I'm showing you on board, isn't it? He's already an entrepreneur in that regard. They are already applying that fundamentals that you see on board, right? Then another very, very important point that we take care of in entrepreneurship is adapt. Or in the another way, in our terminology of entrepreneurship and startup culture, we say pivot, right? What do you mean by this? If something is not working, there has to be a reason for it. Then how quickly you can change how you are delivering that thing to the audience so that it is more inclined towards how they want to use it, right? I have some text also. So it says, market, people, and plans change very, very quickly. You have understood that. So for example, AI came, right? And AI has disrupted a lot of businesses in the way how they used to work. Now, only the companies who are able to adapt to the AI scenario which is happening right now, how quickly they are able to adapt will define how quickly they will be on the new side of the thing. Otherwise, they will start failing at it. So changes happen at a very rapid speed. Just to give you an idea, there is a term called product managers, right? There is a post that is where people come, and that's a job that people do after getting MBAs from very high reputed colleges. Now you will be surprised that this product manager post was nowhere before 2010 something. It did. This particular term product manager didn't even existed, and now it is one of the hype things that everybody wants to be a product manager, right? But it didn't even exist around 2010 or 2012. Technology, use cases, behavior is changing way quickly. Just see for yourself. Again, going back to the example of 10-minute delivery, everybody was laughing at it in 5 years ago. Now everybody is so used to it. You'll be surprised. I can share this data to you guys. Amazon is just operating at a 30% less as it used to 2 years back because of the huge impact of that quick delivery. Now, why would you wait for the same product, which will come from Amazon after 2 days or 3 days maybe, whereas it could be delivered in 10 minutes? We became so used to it, right? So how quickly you are able to change? Again, a very good example that a lot of good companies which were not able to adapt too quickly, they have gone down the drain. How many of you have heard of Nokia? You guys don't come from the Nokia ages, but I am from the Nokia age where we used to have Nokia phones. Now, Nokia was not able to adapt that quickly. And at one point of time in 2003, 2004, Nokia was like the best company, impenetrable. Nobody thought that it could be defeated because it was making the best products. And then by 2009, Apple came, Nokia was kicked out of the market. They were not able to adapt that, okay, we do require big screens. We do not require keypads. Another big example is, if you have heard of a product called, yeah, Blueberry nahi, somebody is writing, I was just coming to that, BlackBerry products, right? They have the keypad that was used by officials only, right? It was very popular, right? When we started working, I started after college was 2009, right? And we were always in awe of BlackBerry because that was something used by all, high executives, executive class, because it has keypad, entire keyboard at your disposable in mobile phone. Apple came, it completely crushed that why you need a physical keypad when your entire screen could be a keypad plus a display unit. BlackBerry kicked out of the market, right? They were not able to adapt. So adaptability is one of the key features which, if you are trying to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand. It's a very difficult trait, and that's what makes good founders really good founders, that how quickly you are able to adapt to the new situations. Another one is team over ego. I doubt that you guys will think of it at this point of time because it's a very big term, team. First of all, you have to have a team to understand the definition of team. But always make sure ego should not be there when you are building for a high impact, right? What do I mean by this? Sometimes we just make companies so that people can work under us, right? And that's the recipe of disaster, right? You should always have people who are better than you, because that's how companies are able to grow. You don't want anything to stay same, right? You want the company to grow. For growing, you need people who are much more smarter than you. In fact, I'll tell you what's the job of a CEO. Do you know that? CEO is nothing but making sure that everybody is on the same page, because he does not do anything, to be very honest. CEO does not build the product, CEO does not do marketing, he does not do branding, but his main job is to make sure that every department is interconnected, they are working, and they are working on the same mission as the company is, right? That's what defines him. So he makes sure that he always hire better people who can do the better job than him. That's how big teams are formed, right? समझ में आ रहा है ये बात किसी को? ठीक है? Now the next point is resilience muscle, which is, I don't know whether you still do understand, but yes, resilience is not giving up despite failures, right? तो ये तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. The entrepreneurship test patience more than intelligence. So a lot of times, this is very, very true for even any competitive exam. So for example, a lot of ITians are sitting in this session. They will tell you that there have been days of ups and downs. It's not that every ITian always had very good day at studies. There have always been days of up and downs, right? But what happens is, if you have a bad day, then how quickly you can come back to your table and do the thing which you are working for, that defines how successful you would be. That's a very simple definition. So for example, I tell you, we do angel investing also. So I, on a personal capacity, do angel investing, that is investing in startups. So what's the key criteria that we see is that, does the founder has resilience? If this idea will not work, what he will do? He will just let the company go, or he will get back to the table, put some more hours, go back to the customer to understand how he can do and improve things, and over a period of time, how it will shape. So resilience is the biggest factor which decides whether you're a good entrepreneur, whether you'll make a good company or not. So just to give you an example, I have been in the edtech space for the last 17 years. A lot of times people say that you became so, big and so rich just in 3-4 years. No, it is not a journey of 3-4 years. It's a journey of 16 years. I've been doing the same thing I was doing 16 years back. I'm doing the same thing today also. And at the same time, I used to work 14 hours earlier. I'm still working 14 hours today. Success, money has not changed the criteria that I would start working less because now I have money. Resilience is the key word, right? And the last 2 points are stay mission driven and celebrate small wins. I think a lot of people do celebrate small wins because that is required. Motivation fuels the momentum, but at the same time, you have to understand that what is a win and what is not a win. To be very honest, there is nothing called a win, right? It's just a learning curve. Keep on taking a defeat or a win as a learning point and move ahead, right? And when the chaos hit, which will definitely, if you are into entrepreneurship, you will not have money. Did something, you built something with all the money, all the passion, all the time that you had, and it might not work. Just take an example that you were designing an F1 car, modeling an F1 car. You roped in all the instruments, you pulled up money, you got the engines, everything, but on the demo day, the car didn't start. It could happen. It happened with Elon Musk. How many of you have seen that video where the Cybertruck was launched? He told that this glass is impenetrable even in Mars. He threw the ball to crack the window and it cracked. So when it can happen with such a personality like Elon Musk, it could happen with anyone. The important point is how he took it. Did he stop working for after that? Did he stop working on Star Trucks? No, he's still building it. It happens. It happens, right? Clear? So these are my pointers from my side of how and what to do in terms of entrepreneurship. I'll again go back quickly that founder's mindset. It has to be action first. It has to be long term game. Everything is a learning curve. You have to be acting towards resourcefulness, not running behind resources. And challenges would be many. Whatever you can think of would become a challenge. So how you overcome those challenges and still stay on what is required is the main thing. So this is what I had in my things for this particular session. I now would take some doubts, queries, whatever you had from the audience. And if you want more of how we have been implementing these things in my journey, I would be happy to help. All right.
So,
Yeah.
So I've gone through your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile shows over 5 lakh monthly users. That's an incredible reach. Can you share the strategies or steps took you to grow such a large audience?
Okay. So again, answer is, Rujana, we never intended to make a product which will be used by 5 lakh plus audience on a day-to-day basis, right? Or a monthly basis. So people who are new here, so there are two terms which I am sure you must have gone through now by this time: DAO and MAU. DAO is daily active users, MAU is monthly active users. So we are having 5 lakh monthly active users on our app, and when the paper comes near, that converts to almost daily active users. So we have last year the highest DAO was 3 lakh, right? We are expecting this to go 4 lakh. Now, how we are able to do that on such a high scale with 3 lakh people are using your app on a daily basis is very simple. How big is the problem that we are solving? So, as I started, that we are into education. People are always looking to find good ways to learn and also find things all at one place at their convenience without any gimmick, without any hype, and without any ads. That's what we simply do, right? And that is what is loved by the audience, right? The truthfulness, transparency of the product that we build. Obviously, apart from having said that, we do a lot of AI, how to show the questions. For example, we track your performance. If you're doing something wrong, what will come next? That's that's a different part of the things. The main part is to understand what problem you're solving. So we solved a very simple problem that if an IIT or a NEET aspirant is there, the biggest resource for them is to practice previous year questions. And we found that there was no resource which could give them previous year questions at all at one place in a beautiful, simplistic way. That's what we built. It's a simple, very simple idea. Even if you think of it as not even an idea, right? But it's a problem which a lot of you had. I'm sure a lot of you would have also used Marks app when you guys were preparing for IIT. Now that simple idea, communicates why sometimes the big companies work on very small ideas. A lot of time you think of everything has to be very big. That I have to, let's say, make a nanoparticle, right? Nanoparticle in itself is a very big thing. But it does not mean that a company that produces nanoparticles will only be successful, right? You have to just make sure that the problem statement is there on the other side. So we identified previously as a big problem. Let's just solve it. And that's what we are doing at this point of time also.
So one question from the comments: what type of team group, sir, do you think and company should have? The one who is intelligent or the person who is hard worker?
The first option is a person who is
Intelligent, and
intelligent.
the
Okay.
other one who is hardworking.
So I would say both of them are important, right? When you are in company runs on both the kind of people. You require people who are intelligent, but you also require people who are hardworking. But over a period of time, people who are hardworking are the ones who climb the ladder much higher. Because, oh, and to be very honest, over a period of time, people who are hardworking and who are loyal to the company are the ones who take the ride. Because after investing time in anything, right, you can gain some IQ on it, right? For example, you started with maths. For many of you, math would be a problem, but after working on it, you create that math muscle, right? You grow on maths, right? That's how every human is, and that's how every company decides. They have to make a balance out of it. But yes, if you have to climb the trajectory up, you have to be hardworking, no doubt about it. Hmm. Sony, you are muted, bache.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I would like to ask another question. For students who want to start sharing knowledge or building their own platform, what would be the first three steps they should focus on?
What they want to do. I didn't get that part. What, for example?
Like if they want to start building their own platform, so what would be their first three steps they should focus on?
Yeah. So for what they are building the platform, right? That's the biggest question because everybody wants to build. So for example, there is creator economy going on, right? Everybody wants to vlog. Everybody wants to be a creator, right? But now everybody is doing the same thing, right? So how would you differentiate yourself? So the biggest question is when there is, we call it that everything has been commoditized, right? Everything has become something like a stock, right? When that happens, then you have to think of what new value I'm adding to the ecosystem, or I'm just doing what others are doing. If you're doing that, don't even try to do it. You're wasting your time. That's the biggest first step. And then if you have decided this is something new that I'm trying to do, then generally what people do is they try to do everything with perfection. They want the perfect thing on the very first day, right? It will never happen. Just go out, start working, start delivering, take feedbacks, keep on improving. That's how things are built. So don't run behind perfection from day one. It is not required. It is like taxing yourself too much. It is like you just started in 11th preparing for some competitive exam and you are starting to solve immediately JEE advanced questions. It's not going to work, right? So that is the exact same fundamental problem, right? So this is, I think, which are the first two. If you figure out the first two, third step would not be required.
Sir, there is a question from the comments. How did you validate your business idea before investing seriously?
So investing seriously. So it is about investing or working on it.
Investing.
So see, investing for a lot of people who are here. So for you, investing is also in layers. For example, angel investing. That is when we invest in ideas. There is no product. So what we generally do, investment generally on seed level, which we call seed or angel fund. happens on founders, that how good the founder is, whether they have the metal or the qualities that I mentioned to you. Do they have them? That's what we have to judge as a investor. That does it make sense? Will the founder run away? Will the founder stick? Does it have the relevant industry experience? Does he have the passion for the problem that he's stating? Or at the same time, is the problem real or not? Though we are not the best judge when we are investing, we are not the best judge whether it's a real problem or not. Everything boils down on the other side. How well they can explain to us whether it's a real problem, what's a good solution, and why he or she is the best person to solve this problem. That's the only idea. Product, idea, nothing. That's are not important at the angel round.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the response. Another question I would like to ask. It's also from the comments. So every market is now full of big sharks. Like we have many competitors in the market, right? Like how should we
Right.
overcome that?
No, there is no competition, to be very honest. Competition is something when you try to do the same thing which others are doing. That's when the competition is. So that is what my first point was. Whether you are solving what others are already solving in the market, then you should stop immediately. You should not do it. The point is what you are doing, how better you are as compared to the others, and that better thing that you are calling, does it get to the other side, that the consumer side also. So that is where you have to start thinking. And I don't believe that you cannot enter any particular market. For example, if you go and analyze, every industry has competition, and immediately and you will start thinking, I should not do it because it's too competitive, right? Again, you can draw an analogy from IIT JEE and NEET, that it is too competitive at the front, right? But yes, still people do get selected, people do work hard and they get selected. The same way the fundamental works for companies also. You stick to your potential, your problem mission, your statement, how you will solve it. There is no competition.
Sir, one more question. Um, One more last question, sir. Many students struggle to balance academics with side projects or startup ideas. What's your advice on managing both efficiently?
Yeah, that's a very genuine issue. Uh, See, you have to now decide on whether it's a project or it's a real thing that you are doing. See, definitely studies are important. Do not just waste your marks, your hours in the class that you should spend on a project. To be very honest, I think I can say that because I did the same mistake when I was young, that I invested too heavily on projects. I should have been more focused. It's not something that I regret, but if I were to go back and change something, that is what I would have changed. But yes, you should be able to understand that there is priority A still lies with your studies. Yes, if you see that the project that you are doing is being validated by somebody else who is also vouching and telling that, yeah, it is correct, then go ahead with it. But to be very honest, the craziest founders are not the ones who listen to anyone. They are in flow of it has to be done and they will do it. So just to give you my example, I had my placement, international placement done when I was in college. I got the placement and I next day just wrote that I will not be joining, right? Because I was very clear that I would do what I have started. I will not leave it. Right? So it's very difficult to decide, and that's what make real founders. But if you think that you are doing something just because of a project, just to put something on your resume, it's better to stick to your studies, right? And that is where your answer should be honest to yourself, right? So that is where honesty comes into picture. A lot of you would be building something to put it on resume, put it on for application. If that is the purpose, then it's a project. It's not a venture. Venture and projects are two different things. So if it is a project, concentrate on studies first. If it is something that you're really into, passionate into, you can leave everything for it. Just do it. There's no looking back then.
Thank you, sir. A heartfelt thank you to our speaker, Anup sir, for taking the time to share your valuable insights, experiences, and guidance with us today. Your words have enlightened and inspired every participant to think creatively and dream bigger. Thank you all for joining the session. Register now for YEC. The deadline is 27th October. Scan the QR code or visit the ESL website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. And yes, do join, do participate in all those contests that come to your way. Right. So I was just telling the guys to participate as much as